1 month after the first SDR, the band agreed to play at the Glendale on the Green concert series. They had only been a four-piece for 5 months, and they tried to learn 36 songs for the show.
Yeah, the concert on the Green, I remember that. We were trying to learn 36 songs, and I realized about the night before that that was impossible. So what I decided to do was use my brand new self-made gig rig. It was gigantic. So my goal was to be as loud as possible so that they wouldn't know how bad it was.
The first time we played outside was wonderful. It was a gorgeous day. It was 75 degrees. We had, maybe 50, 60 people all there, all drinking wine, eating cheese, and complaining about how loud we were while they were talking. It was really nice, but I took their complaints to heart, and with my wireless guitar, played right in front of their faces.
You know, I sweat easily. I mean, it doesn't take much, walking up steps. Something like that. But June, Glendale, 90% humidity, in a black shirt, I was in full lather.
They did their best, but it wasn't their finest hour.
Oh yeah, that show. Well, we got to use mulch to hold up the drum set. I used it in the front. It's got the right medium and weight to it, and resonance to be used in that kind of medium. Mulch, you can use mulch for about anything, to tell you the truth. Looks great in the garden. Sometimes I sleep on it. With a little syrup, it tastes great.
After the Green, the Bunnies set their sights on what would be their other signature show, Halloween. They returned to the Glendale Town Hall, this time with a mind-melting light show. In these never-seen behind-the-scenes photos, you can see the stage coming together. Occasionally, when things didn't fit, Jeff would just use his mind to bend metal. These are the only known pictures of someone using a table and a ladder simultaneously without dying.
When you are ready to rock, you gotta go with Thunderbolt. You know what I'm saying? They got the lights, they got the sound, they got the attitude. Thunderbolt!
This was the show where the Bunnies' biggest fans, Eric and Brian Brown, got their nickname, the Elvi. This was also when it was discovered Scott G's love of corsets, fishnets, and transvestites. The Stone Bunnies also developed a huge following on the benefit gig circuit.
Well, we tend to do a lot of benefits. I work for a place where there's a lot of sick people. It's not a hospital, it's a bank. I don't know, just people are not healthy there, and our music makes them better, I guess. Makes them happier, I think. We've done a lot of them, a few dozen. There's only 100 people that work at the bank.
One of the first was in the winter of 2007. This show was memorable for two major reasons. During a performance of Possum Kingdom, the organizers of the event came to Scott while he was singing and asked him to announce a split-the-pot winner. And the other reason, of course, was?
I would have to say lesbian singer, because as you all know, the Stone Bunnies love lesbians.
Oh, of course, the lesbian singer.
Lesbian singer for sure.
The key thing that I remember about that would probably be the lesbian singer.
The SDR 2007 show was marked by technical difficulties, including a power outage. The band still rocked hard and continued to stretch their musical universe, even playing new instruments. It was the first time the gig tradition of a 40-ounce of Colt 45 for each band member was provided at the end of the show by the Elvi. It was also where one of the attendees, Charles Flatt, was introduced to the Bunnies, and this would lead to a nearly 2-year time period when the Bunnies would expand to 5. With Charles leaving the seminary and joining the band, the summer of 2007 was a very busy time. As the weather turned cooler, the Bunnies turned their attention to the annual Halloween show. The show expanded to new levels, with Charles playing guitar and violin, and even singing the song Cat People. The light show was the most elaborate ever attempted by the Bunnies, with the use of par lights and computer-programmed effects. The songs were some of the most varied of this time period for the Bunny shows. The only negative aspect was what happened to Scott Gelder after that show.
Yeah, I loved that show. It was great. But the only problem was for about 3 weeks afterwards, I kept having to peel skin off of my head because the lights were so bright. I had a 3rd-degree burn from having them right in my face all night.
2008 for the Stone Bunnies included another SDR show and then recording sessions for their first CD, Huge in Japan. Behind the Music has acquired some behind-the-scenes recordings that show the creative process the Bunnies go through. The title of the CD came after the band received a translated letter saying the band was huge in Japan. After having the original letter translated by Matt's daughter Tara, it was learned that the band was actually being sued in Japan. After a summer and fall of recording, the Bunnies were ready to perform again. Their first opportunity was at the famous Southgate House for the Corvettes Bar reunion. The gig almost didn't happen due to a bad case of the flu for Scott Gelder, but being the professional he is, he soldiered through. The gig was a spectacular success, with the crowd saying the Bunnies never sounded better. The new originals were cheered, and the band was its tightest it had ever been. Unfortunately, this would be the last time Charles would play with the Stone Bunnies. When 2010 began, the future of the Stone Bunnies was still in doubt. 2009 had been a difficult year, and the guys decided to go back to the basics and start writing new music together.
Well, after our Halloween show, we take a nice little hiatus, and it's getting cold, and it's dark, and I'm bored, and dark thoughts come in, and I'm bored, and I'm drinking beer, and people are growing beards, and then I write music.
The Bunnies spent the first 3 months of 2010 in the hutch creating new material. With a renewed sense of purpose, the Bunnies decided to focus on making the 5th annual SDR show the biggest and best ever. All of the changes and creativity sparked a rebirth of the Stone Bunnies. The crowd was the largest up to that point. The new Stone Bunny lighting equipment made its first appearance. The Bunnies decided to do one set of covers and one of only original material. The rejuvenated Stone Bunnies were having the most fun of their careers, and it showed. Following the hugely successful 2010 SDR show, the Bunnies decided to reclaim the Halloween holiday. As with the previous show, the HWB house was used for the gig. The production was almost derailed by a motorcycle accident the Friday before the show involving Jeff's son Luke, who did recover. Jeff was able to still perform, but on very little sleep. The show included guest appearances by Nick Gelder on vocals, Dan Morgan on guitar, Zane Warman on saxophone, and Tara Warman on vocals. The Bunnies played for nearly 2 hours, and the crowd was loud and crazy, just the way the Bunnies like it. The beer flowed, and the Bunnies put on a great show for those about to rot. Where do the Bunnies go from here? Let's ask them in their own words.
The thong.
Tuna fish oil.
Bitches.
I'm writing a play, kind of living it while I write it. It's called, is anybody going to see this?
No.
Montana Cubicle.
What does the future not hold? I mean, it's the future.
It's all about beer.
Why are you talking?
I'd like to learn how to play the C major scale.
Why are we doing this?
Because people need to know a little bit about us and how the group chemistry that we have.
Beer.
And now the Stone Bunnies proudly present SDR 2011. The hits
Keep
Coming!